With so much on their plates, busy people rely on shortcuts to help prepare meals. Nowadays, you can stock your pantry with cans of pre-cooked meat, so there's always something on hand to use in sandwiches, stews, stir-fries, and other tasty dishes. This canned meat is meticulously hand-produced by a craft cannery and made in small batches. It contains no artificial ingredients or preservatives, just meat and sea salt. When a shipment of meat arrives at the cannery, the quality control manager records its lot code for tracking purposes. As a food safety precaution, he confirms the temperature of the meat, which must come in between 0 to 39 degrees Fahrenheit. A skilled butcher then inspects the meat and trims off the excess fat. If it's a large piece, the butcher slices it into smaller pieces so that it can pass through the dicing machine. The dicer cuts the meat into 1-inch cubes. At the filling station, aluminum cans circulate around a rotating table. As one worker shovels cube meat onto the center of the table, others manually fill cans while simultaneously performing a quality inspection. Workers will discard any cubes that are discolored or too fatty. Next, technicians place a single cube of sea salt in each can filled with meat. This is the only added ingredient. At the next station, workers weigh each can individually and either add or remove meat to reach the required weight. The filled cans now travel on a conveyor belt to the cookroom. There they enter the preheater, which blasts them with steam for 20 seconds. This expels air that's trapped between the cubes of meat. Next, the cans move into the closing machine. The machine compresses the meat to provide sufficient clearance at the top of the can. This headspace creates a vacuum on the can to draw out the remaining air. Then a device attaches the lid by a process known as double seaming. The process rolls the edges of the lid and can together, forming a rim that provides an airtight seal. It's time to get cooking. A worker lowers the cans into a commercial-sized pressure cooker. Cooking under steam pressure produces the tenderizing effects of slow cooking in a fraction of the time. The meat cooks in its own juices. The cooking temperature varies depending on the type of meat and the can size. When the meat is ready, the technician removes the cans and sets them aside for about an hour to cool and dry. The cans are then moved to the packaging area. As a worker loads the labeling machine, he inspects each can for dents or damaged seals. One by one, the cans roll over a glue applicator, then a stack of labels wrapping themselves in the top seal. At the same time, the machine counts the number of cans. After rolling off the labeling machine, the cans pass through an inkjet printer which applies the best used by date. That date is next to the lock code, which the closing machine printed while attaching the lid. This can of meat has a 5-year shelf life due to 2 crucial factors. It is cooked properly and the can seal is airtight. Do you want to know how tuna cans are made? Well, you're in the right place. In this video, we'll take you step by step through the entire process, from fishing to canning. You'll discover how tuna is selected, cleaned, and packaged to arrive fresh at your home. So sit back and grab a bowl of popcorn to discover how tuna cans are made. Tuna is one of the most abundant fish in the Pacific Ocean, where it is caught by fishing boats equipped with refrigeration units to freeze the fish and keep them in perfect condition until they reach the processing plant. Canning tuna was invented in the early 20th century as a means to preserve fish products for long periods without the need for a refrigerator. The can is a sturdy container that is suitable for packaging liquids and preserving food. These cans can be made of steel and aluminum and are hermetically sealed to protect the food from ultraviolet light, oxygen, and microorganisms. Canned tuna contains 24 to 25 grams of protein, making it a food that provides a lot of protein for the improvement of our body. According to many scientific studies, canned tuna may contain even more protein than fresh tuna. The tuna is frozen directly on fishing boats and then transported in containers to the factory following the cold chain. Here, between 25 and 30 tons of tuna are processed each day. First, the tuna is received from various suppliers or tuna boats. Then it must be checked to ensure that the food quality is in good condition. Once it is confirmed that the product is in good condition, the tuna is cut. The frozen tuna is cut with a saw. First the head is removed, then the belly, and finally the tail, which is cut into rectangular loins. Before being sent to the production process, the tuna remains underwater for a long time. To cook these large quantities of tuna, trays 14 meters long are prepared to hold about 10,000 kilograms of tuna. To preserve the organoleptic characteristics and nutritional values of the tuna, it is steam cooked and constantly monitored with probes inserted into the slice. After about 3 hours, the tuna is cooked, but before continuing its journey, it must be cooled in special conditioning cells to dry the excess moisture and ensure better quality of the final product. This steam baking eliminates excess fat and prepares the tuna for easy removal of skin and bones. Once cooled, the tuna is sent to the cleaning tables, where the separation of edible meat from skin and bones begins. After this process, the workers who help process the canned tuna must clean the fish to remove unwanted bones along with scales, skin, and fins, and then verify that everything is in good quality. After this, depending on the can in which it will be packaged, it is cut differently. Alongside the artisanal production, there is a very efficient automatic department where consumer products are automatically canned through 5 different production lines. The clean loins are then moved to the canning process. The operator places the clean loins into a channel. This channel moves the tuna and places it into a compression chamber to shape it cylindrically. Blades cut the tuna and place it inside the can. The cans are automatically filled with tuna and moved in a single line from the filler machine to the vacuum sealer. Each filler can process up to 600 cans per minute. To preserve this food for a long time, liquids must be added, depending on the company processing the canned tuna, but the most common are oils like olive oil, sunflower oil, or salted water, which will keep the food in good condition for a long time. The filled cans descend on conveyor belts where broth or olive oil is added, depending on the type of product. In this case, brine and olive oil are dispensed, and then the cans are sealed and washed. The lids are automatically closed on top of the can before entering the vacuum sealer, where the air is removed and the lid is hermetically sealed. They must be monitored by real people to ensure that the canning seals are perfect and that there are no failures. The machines that companies use for sealing these foods must contain steam jets for proper sealing. The sealer dispenses lids at a rate of between 100 and 800 cans per minute. The cans are closed, washed, and loaded into baskets for steam cooking in autoclaves. The cans go through a water bath to clean oil residues and then are reloaded into baskets. Next, magnetic elevators transport the sealed cans to large metal baskets. These baskets are loaded 12 at a time into giant pressure cookers where the fish is cooked and sterilized. These cookers can process up to 12,000 cans at once. The products placed in special baskets move to the next stage, one of the most delicate because it is the sterilization inside large steam autoclaves, carefully controlled by thermography to ensure the product is sterile and durable. After completing this process, the tuna cans go through a thermal process that gives them more shelf life as they exit the autoclave hot. They are given a cold water bath to regulate the temperature and prevent issues when they reach supermarkets. The sealed cans are placed in sterilization chambers with hot steam to eliminate any bacteria that may harm the product. Bacteria can be present both inside the can and in the food, so they must be properly sterilized. When the sterilization process is complete, the hot cans must be washed and cooled with cold water. After sterilization, the can prevents microorganisms from entering and proliferating inside. After the cooking time, the sterilized canned tuna is removed from the baskets and transferred to a cooling area. The cans pass through an X-ray machine that checks for bones or metals. Only then are they introduced to labeling. Once the cans have cooled, they are labeled. The day after packaging, quality control staff open representative samples from the previous day's package and classify them. After sterilization, samples from each production batch are taken for thorough and exhaustive laboratory testing. The cans will be labeled with product information. The tuna cans are packed in cardboard boxes and ready to be shipped worldwide. Before delivering the tuna cans, Manufacturers always check the product once more to ensure there are no damaged canned tuna products. Some manufacturers will hold the cans for a while to see if they swell. Damaged cans will not be delivered to the market. In the 17th century, a German choir master decided to put a new twist on the sugar stick. He had some bent into shepherd's crooks as a special treat for his choir, and that's believed to be how the candy cane was invented. But it wasn't until more than a century later that they earned their stripes. Today, candy canes come in different stripes and sizes. They start by cooking up a big batch of sugar, water, and corn syrup. Next, they prepare a mix of starch and flavoring like peppermint or strawberry. As they blend them together, the flavoring binds to the starch. They empty the flavoring mix into the middle of the syrupy slab. Then they feed the whole thing into a machine that uses shovels and a plunger to fold the batch repeatedly. This distributes the flavoring evenly. Cold water piped into the shovels and the kneading table cools the candy cane mix so it takes on a stiffer consistency, perfect for the next step. It's over to the automated pullers. These pullers stretch the candy around a metal post. This action aerates the candy, turning it white. There's enough here to make 3,200 candy canes, but there's a lot more work to be done before this job is licked. They roll the candy into a flat log while heaters warm it, making it pliable enough to shape. Next, they roll strips of red-colored candy. A worker then stretches and folds the red batch to widen the strip. They arrange 2 of the red strips on either side of the cylindrical mold. It weighs over 45 kilograms. So it takes 2 workers to carry it to the next machine. It's called a batch roller. Cylinders roll the candy thinner in a process that will dramatically reduce the diameter of the log to candy cane dimensions. A torch moves across the candy to keep it pliable. Then the sugary batch travels between wheels that slim it down even more. Now it's a rope of candy and it exits in a wave-like fashion. This gives it some slack so it doesn't stretch as it moves through another set of wheels. The candy rope moves through 2 angled belts that twist it, and a chain of knives cuts the twisted rope to candy cane size. This production has been perfectly choreographed. One missed step and the job would hit a snarl. Here a roll of cellophane unwinds and a device wraps it around the striped candy stick. Pipes blast hot air to shrink the cellophane on the ends of the canes. Once they're wrapped, these candy sticks finally get their crooks. This machine, called a crooked deck, bends the ends of the candy sticks to turn them into canes. A bracket brush overhead secures the canes gently, because although they're pliable enough to bend, they're still fragile. There's a camera inside this robotic arm which allows it to spot the candy canes on the conveyor belt and pick them up 2 at a time. It places them in cardboard packages, filling them up by the dozen. It takes about half an hour to make a box of candy canes.